Wow.
Hello. Welcome to Women's LIK.
Good afternoon, everyone. I love that music. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women's LIK. It's going to be a really great show. Just to let you know, we've only got two of us today. Me and Susie are going to be battling on. We haven't got Angela. She does send her apologies, but we hope that wherever she is, she's having a really good day. So we're going to be joined by some amazing guests today. We've got Lorna Phillip, who is a Birmingham doula. She supports women in pregnancy and childbirth, and she'll be telling us all about that. We've also got Garfield Robinson from the Voice newspaper, and he runs his own book company called Promoting Our Heritage. He's also a business advisor, so he's going to be telling us all about that. And both of them, much more, many more stories to tell. So welcome to the show. Just to make you aware very quickly, there will be no show in October, but we will be having a show in November. That's November the 28th. We're going to come back bigger and better in November. So just to let you know that. And we hope you're all fitting well out there. Hi, Susie. You okay?
Hi, Sandra. Yeah, I absolutely love that music. I think we should ask our viewers to do a rap and send a rap in on top of that tune because it's such good fun.
It's so nice.
It's brilliant. Excellent choice. I'm really enjoying it. And I hope the viewers enjoy it as well. And yeah, here we are, another amazing episode. I can't wait to hear from Garfield and Lorna. I'm really looking forward to today's show.
Yeah, what about, I've got one word to say to you. I need to talk to you about the big P, and we all know what it is. It's petrol. How have you, how have you got on with, did you fill up yesterday on petrol?
I did. I had a client meeting on Friday, and the petrol was getting low, and it was a case of, if I don't get petrol in the car, I can't go to my client. But I also have that feeling like I don't think we should all do that whole panic crazy buying thing. We should just buy what we'd normally use.
Yes.
But it's amazing how as humans we can all transfer that fear. And I went to 3 petrol stations, and 2 were empty, and one of them there was a queue into the main road. And I found myself thinking, I need to fill up. But I got it. I got some petrol, and I got to the client meeting. And let's hope it all settles down soon. So,
I hope so. Yeah. My son couldn't get any diesel. He hasn't got any. He can't go to work. He's going to have to work from home. But when I was filling up yesterday, I was just empty as normal. I wondered if anybody thought I was panic buying, but I don't have to explain that. So, but I think that people are just human beings, and that's what happens.
Absolutely.
They say don't panic, and it will panic you. Don't do something, then people want to do it. It's what happens. So let's hope it works itself out. I mean,
Absolutely. And thank goodness we can do all this kind of stuff over the phone. We're not in a studio, so we can just relax and, be at home, not have to travel anywhere, and enjoy the programme.
It's a virtual world. Well, without much further ado, I'm going to bring on Garfield, who, as I said before, he works for the Voice newspaper. He runs his own book company, Promoting Our Heritage. I want to hear all about it. So can we bring on Garfield, please?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Garfield.
Hello.
Loving the blue shirt.
No, thanks for having me.
Lovely colour.
Well, you said we're something bright, so I don't have any red shirts or any yellow shirts. So
that's the next thing to buy on your list.
Yeah, we don't. I actually have, but they have logos on them. So yeah, you wanted something without a logo. So yeah, this is the brightest shirt I have without a logo. So
fabulous. Well, you're looking fab. Look,
thank you very much. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. But first of all, we want to ask you, because we want to know how you are, and very quickly, how has the last 18 months? How has it been for you in terms of? I mean, COVID.
I don't even want to talk about it. It's been a kind of different. Like it's been a kind of surreal time. It's like, I mean, I really feel for people who have lost relatives and people are still ill, and just want to wish them all the best. But it's really like, sometimes it's like you're watching a movie and you're not really there, and then sometimes it's just real. So it's kind of one of them things that we'll look back later and say, you were a part of that history, but it's not be really a bit of history that you enjoyed, if you understand what I mean.
No, I certainly understand that. And we are living in that history, aren't we? And I mean, my mum's been to about 16 funerals in lockdown, and I feel for all the families as well. So no, it's very sad. But look, let's on a lighter note, let's take it right back to the beginning where you started. I know you worked for various newspapers and various papers. Tell us about your experience and how you actually got involved in that.
Oh, all right. You want the long story? Or I guess you want the short story because we don't have the time
We
for the
haven't got very
long
long,
story.
but when we
Yeah.
have more
All
time in
right.
another meeting.
So basically, all right. So quickly now, I've always been in sales and some for marketing, but I think I've always been in sales, right? I mean, when I talk to people about like how I started out in sales, I used to help my grandmother in the grocery shop back in St. Elizabeth in Jamaica, maybe even before I was a teenager, from about maybe 10, 11, 12, thereabouts. So I've been in sales. I learned sales from my grandma. But over the years, I've been on courses on all kind of different things and, really kind of try to fine tune, what I'm doing. And it's advertising sales that, brought me to newspapers. I actually started out at the Gleaner in Jamaica. This was back in 2000. Yeah, 2000, 1999, 2000. And then my wife was recruited to teach here. So I came here as well and started here at Gleaner. And in 2004, the Gleaner bought The Voice. And that's where we got GV Media from. So, but I've always been in something to do with sales, I've sold Stanley Home products. I've sold, I've sold, those are the long time things. I've sold, where I grew up, anybody who graduated or got married, I would frame their certificate or their photo because I learned picture framing from my dad, who's a carpenter. So I've always been doing something that involves some kind of selling in my grandma's shop on a Friday night or Saturday if I didn't get to do it on Friday. My grandma and mom showed me how to make, for anybody out there, torta or gizzada. That's what the Jamaicans for you, which is coconut grated and you add spices and all of that. And you bake a little thing and put it together. I used to sell that on a Saturday night at the shop to get my little pocket money. So yeah, I've been in sales a long time.
Amazing. And we're two Jamaican women, so we know the stories well.
Oh.
We're so happy. We're so happy.
But yeah, because the torta is it's a thing between, it's not bread, it's not as bland as bread, and it's not as rich as your fruit cake. So it's a kind of poor man's cake. It's in the middle there. The same if you make like coconut milk to cook your rice and peas on a Sunday, you don't throw away the trash, you use the trash to make the torta. So for your recyclers out there, that's for recycling. Yeah.
Waste not, want not.
Exactly.
Let's talk about The Voice as well, and it's good to hear your background. The Voice newspaper. I mean, what's your experience been? And let's tell us what they've achieved, what you think The Voice newspaper has achieved in the community, because I know that everybody knows of The Voice newspaper.
Yeah. All right. So my role at The Voice is advertising. So I sell advertising. Come back to sales again, but within advertising, you have to work with the features editors. You have to work with the sports editor. You have to work with one, right? So I've seen where, over 17-year period, I've worked with a lot of people, but I've seen where there's one constant that we have at The Voice, and it's always trying to interpret the news from a Black perspective. So the news comes and the present petrol problems. There's you can go anywhere and get the news, but what we do at The Voice is to try to interpret it how it's going to affect the Black community. You see, so that's the constant with The Voice in everything that we do, trying to interpret the news and see how it affects the Black community. And where we're able to say what we need to do, we also give that kind of information of what needs to be done.
And it is good to read because I know that we're part of it. I'm part of it. My parents are part of it. There's it's history there in the making. So, but what do you think? I mean, the Voice newspaper has survived the test of time. I think it's 40 years. Is it next year?
Yeah, 40 years next year, and that's like, in fact, some of the 40 years. Well, I think we need to ask the public, because if it wasn't something that was like a go-to place for your news and your this. I mean, I've met people who have found their spouse looking at an ad in the Voice. That's when we used to do a lot of the, what do you call them now? Those kind of adverts. Then we have had, I met a lady one time, she adopted a child. She responded to an advert in the Voice. I mean, she's building her family. So there's a lot of things, I mean, that the Voice has done for a lot of people. I meet people who got their job from, you know, answering an ad in the Voice. So it's been there and been relevant to a lot of people, and that's why it continues to be.
And it sounds like it's really, really there for the community and for everyone, I take it as well. But I know that you've gone from a weekly newspaper to monthly and also online. And obviously you've got to move with the times where it's all about social media. This is social media now.
Yes.
What's the response been to that change?
Okay. So the monthly paper is just rounding up 2 years now. So it's been monthly now for 2 years, just about this time of the year, just this time of September. And the decision was made looking at everything that's happening and you know, where we need to be and you know, what we need to do and some of the technology that we need to adopt. So going monthly, it's a more curated paper. We have to more drill down into what's going in the monthly, because it's one issue for the month instead of four, right? And it's the reader at heart that, you know, what's going to edify the reader or what's going to benefit the reader. But then at the same time, while it goes out in print, we have been able to, going from weekly to monthly, we have been able to get into 20% more locations than we were before. Right, so that's a benefit. So it might look like we're losing something, but we're also, you know, gaining something. And at the same time, if you go down to your local supermarket or wherever to buy the paper and it's out, you can jump on the Voice website and order a copy, and then you can indicate whether you want a print copy to be posted to you or you want to download it to your phone or your computer. So there's been improvements along the way. A lot of my colleagues are still working remotely, and there's a lot of technology that we have, you know, employed to help us to do that in a you know, a sustainable way. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes, and we're getting ready for the big 40, which is next year. But some of the products are actually starting now, you know, to be delivered next year.
Looking forward to the 40th, and I'm hoping that me and Susie will be, well, if there is a little party going on, Susie, I'm hoping that we get invited to that. But don't forget us, we know where we are. But I've got to be honest with you, the online presence was good for me because I ordered it online as well to save me having to go and buy it. And I'm a person who reads online, so it has been really useful for me. So thank you to the Voice for that. I'm very much.
And you're getting your supplies regularly, right?
I'm getting it regularly, and I'm a social media person. It works well.
I just took a chance there and asked you that. Yeah.
No, it's good.
Because when it's ordered, I would post the first copy out, and then the rest of them would come from our printers. Yeah, they come straight from the printers to your letterbox.
Okay,
so
that makes sense, because I remember years ago, you know, finding it easy to get a Voice newspaper in Brixton, obviously where your headquarters used to be. But if you moved a little bit out of southwest London, you know, or beyond Croydon sort of thing, it was more hit and miss whether your newsagent would stock the Voice. So it's good to take control of the supply chain.
Yes. Yeah, that's
I think
thank
so.
you for that, yeah.
Garfield, thank you very much for talking about the Voice newspaper and about how you started. I'm going to pass you over to Susie, and she's got a handful of questions there as well. So I'm going to leave you. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's really fantastic to hear about what you've been up to, Garfield. I mean, for me, years ago, that was our go-to newspaper in the job I was working in, which was all about diversity and equality. So we did lots of work. I worked with Vic Matune, and that name might ring a bell for you.
Oh, Vic, Vic, my colleague Vic.
Yes. And I think even when I left university, I even had an interview at the Voice newspaper, but I found I was more into the slower pace of publishing, because I think the weekly pace of a news it's quite
sometimes
full
manic.
on.
Yeah, it's sometimes manic. Yeah, that's true.
So I went to work in publishing, which was a slightly slower pace, but not that much slower. So that brings me neatly on to your involvement in publishing, which is about you're involved in promoting our heritage books. So tell us all about this for people that don't know about your promoting our heritage.
Okay. All right. So how do I start now? All right, let me start the easy way now. So basically, I did tell you a little bit about my wife coming here to work, and then me following her. And then what I was asked, because at that time I worked at just at the Gleaner alone. We didn't have Gleaner and Voice at the time. So I was asked to find some Jamaican cultural material, because this Jamaican teacher believed she was learning a certain amount of the British heritage and culture from the children she was teaching, children that was in her care. So she felt that it's only fair to reciprocate, give them a bit of her heritage and culture as well. So she sent me a message to say if I could find any audiovisual material, especially from Louise Bennett.
Yes.
Who is she's popularly known as Jamaica's first lady of comedy, but it's more than that, because up to last week, someone was saying how Miss Lou really opened our eyes to say that what we call Jamaican patois is not just a dirty language. It's a proper language that has a system, just like all other languages that are derived from other bits of things. She explains it much better than I can. So so Louise, she said, if I could find anything from Louise Bennett. So I did find something from Louise Bennett, and also a bit of stuff from Joan Andrea Hutchinson. And Joan Andrea Hutchinson has been like studying Louise Bennett over the years. In fact, before Miss Lou died in Canada, that's a long time now, Joan Andrea Hutchinson actually took a film crew there, and I think she did some interviews with Miss Lou, and those were, I think, available on some audiovisual system. But she was, studying her. So anyway, I found some stuff, and I was able to supply to the teacher. And then when I took my son to school in the morning now, parents, waiting around for children to go inside, I'd pop up and ask one and two of them, somebody asked me to do this, blah, blah, blah. Is that something you'd be interested in? And some of them say, yeah. Some people were asking me for things that like out of print, like long time. I said, okay, I might have a struggle with that one. Anyway, I felt that, enough people were interested for me to try something, right? So I saw an advert for an event in Brixton. This would be the first week of October 2002, right? So I saw the ad, I called the people and I said, I'm doing this, what's happening? And so they said, yeah, you can come down and hire a table and, put your things out and see what happens. And I did that. So I pulled together some stuff. I got some books from Biz Publications. They do like the Black Scientist books. They've been renowned for that over the years. I got some T-shirts printed, and I got some other stuff like some little maps and some other like Jamaican books and so forth. So this was like the first time I was going out now to try this thing. And the night now we were getting ready, so I was saying to my wife, we're going out tomorrow and we're going to do this. But what are we going to call ourselves? People are going to ask, what a business name? So we were there thinking, we were calling names. And I say, all right, you know what kind of comes in my head? where the man says it says what it does and it does what it says. I don't remember who said that, right?
It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Some say, all right, so we are going out to promote the Jamaican heritage. That's what we're doing, right? So, but looking forward now, we don't want it to be, while Jamaica is at its heart, we don't want, if somebody not interested in Jamaica, them just walk past and go about them business. We still want to, pull everything. So we decided on the name promoting our heritage, right? And we were saying, but then suppose somebody asks me whose heritage? We say, all right, if anybody asks you that, we sort it out when they ask us that. I mean, over nearly, it's nearly, next year is going to be 20 years, right? So, because it's 2022, right? So, it's maybe only one person has asked us whose heritage? Or you just give them a little, or you give them a straight look and you say, okay, you're really going to ask me that? So that's kind of like the answer to that. So we kind of figured it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
I was going to say that I think it's a clever name because really our heritage is our global heritage. I mean, we are the diaspora. We might be Jamaicans, but we've got Spanish ancestry, we've got African ancestry, and drilling it down, we've got Ghanaian ancestry. So our heritage. So I think it's a clever name because it's all encompassing, isn't it?
Yeah, because the Jamaican motto is out of many, one people.
Oh.
So that's that kind of, I didn't even think of that, but that's it. Out of many, one people. Yeah.
So it isn't just books that you're promoting, it's all of the cultural artifacts and as well as books. Is that right?
Books are really the main thing because you see, all right, when you do t-shirts, when it's winter, there's like, you're going to have those t-shirts till the next sunny time. So t-shirts, I used to, not much. When you do, there's a lot of things that are kind of seasonal. I mean, like cards and so forth. I don't have a permanent shop to put them one place because with cards, you put them out, pack them up, put them out, pack them up, put them out. By the third or fourth time is used things, those, the maybe dog-eared and all kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's mostly books. Yeah.
So what kind of do you have any favorite books or any favorite authors that you're really into?
You're
getting me, down to maybe one or two.
You're getting me into trouble now, right? So all right. So my all-time favorite author is Louise Bennett, right? But the unique thing with Louise Bennett now, she only wrote the one book, Jamaica Labrish, which has all her poems in the Jamaican patois, right? There's a couple other books, but it's like people who have studied her and worked with her estate, collected her work and put them together, right? So like the most recent book on Louise Bennett is by Professor Mervyn Morris, who's from UWI in Jamaica. And he's been studying her life over umpteen years and has put together a book now which kind of puts her life into context in a kind of modern sense. And it answers to, remember I was saying that some people say, Jamaican patois, but the Institute of Linguistics, which is based here in the UK, has designated Jamaican patois to be a proper language.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So, that draws a line under the debate for a lot of people, but you still got to have people that, saying this and saying that. So I would put Louise Bennett as, because she has done a lot without doing it for herself, because I've been in events before where, big names like Benjamin Zephaniah and Linton Kwesi Johnson, Yasser Safari, all those eminent poets have at one point or another on stage said, look here, Miss Lou was the start of the thing. We are just carrying on the baton,
Absolutely.
So she's well respected, there's a statue.
Yeah, I think that's so important. We've got young people coming through and rappers and artists and using our interpretation of English. You know, we have the grime culture. We've got a whole
Yes.
new linguistics of our own that was marginalized and is now becoming mainstream. And I think that's fantastic. And that sort of goes right back to her in being proud in our culture and proud in our language and our kind of the way that we can bend language to how we want it to be as part of our expression. So in terms of how do you bring in younger audiences and young readers to encourage them to read?
Okay. All right. So basically, so what I try to do now, I try to keep, all right, the books I sell, I try to be guided by customer requests, like what customers ask for, right? But it's not to say if I'm speaking to one of my suppliers and they send me a list that I see like maybe 5 things that I've stocked before that I run out of, and I see maybe 3 things that look similar, I'll maybe try a small quantity of the new ones and see how my customers feel. Because I'm always at events and people say, what you have new? You have anything new? Right. So what I try to do, and I try to have a balance now of the, what you call it now, the old time well known. So I try not to go anywhere without my Marcus Garvey books. Yeah, I definitely have Equiano into like for the younger people now, I stock like I'll have my Raheem Sterling and like football books, right? I'll have books on Ta-Nehisi Coates, which is he's done the whole Wakanda Black Panther series.
Yeah.
So yes, so people will watch a film, but a lot of time they want something to hold in their hand and you know, reference to. There's I mean, I do a lot of books on cooking, because even if you go to a restaurant here, there, and you eat the food and say, well, I saw it tastes nice. I want to make that myself. Exactly. So you want a little recipe book to follow, and even if it doesn't come out exactly like the restaurant, at least you have tried.
Yes.
And you might do it a couple times until you get it right.
In your book range, and I've just noticed the time we're running a little bit out of time. We could listen to you for ages. And I know you're also a business advisor. So what I'd like to do is move into our conversation with Lorna, if that's okay, and then bring you back at the end, and we can have a chat with Lorna, and we can talk a little bit about your business advice as well.
Yeah, man, that's welcome. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, that's good for me. Yeah,
so much. Thank you so much. So I think we'd like to have a little chat to our next guest now, which is Lorna Phillips. So if we could have Lorna in the room, please, that would be lovely. Okay. Hello. Do we have Lorna?
We do have Lorna. Hi. Great to meet you two, and great listening to Garfield. I really enjoyed his interview. Wonderful.
Definitely. What amazing person with so many stories, and a Jamaican too. So I don't know your origin, Lorna.
Jamaica.
Oh my gosh! Jamaica.
There's a party.
We've got all the Jamaicans in the house today. That's amazing. And I tell you what, I'm also Birmingham born and bred, Lorna. So here's for the Birmingham Massive.
You have my heart, Susie. You have my heart.
Oh my gosh.
I'll sit in the corner, don't worry.
No, you can be honest on it. We're all one. We are one out of many one people. So it's all good. It's all good. So Lorna, it's lovely to meet you, and I've been in touch with you lots of times. We've had lots of exchanges on social media, but I'm so happy for you to join us on Women's LIK. It's amazing that you've given us some of your valuable time. I'm so appreciative. Yes, so your work is absolutely just touches me so much. I mean, I'm going to start with a difficult question, because I think we have to look back in order to look forward. So how on earth has it been for you helping women to deliver babies and supporting them through pregnancy during a pandemic, during COVID?
Oh, it's a really good question, Susie. So when we first had the pandemic, I assumed that I wouldn't be working. I thought, okay, well, a lot of the hospital trusts were saying that they were only allowing one birth partner in to support births. And generally, of course, people choose their partners. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to be kind of like at home, you know, twiddling my thumbs and can't pay the bills. But actually, the opposite happened. And during the pandemic, I was literally run off my feet with inquiries and births. And yeah, it was a very busy time, slightly scary time, because, you know, you're going into hospitals, you know, not knowing, you know, what you may pick up or what you may transmit. But on the whole, actually, I did support quite a few home births, which is my real kind of passion and love. And so it was a very, very busy time, a very uncertain time. And I really felt for the families having babies in a pandemic. It's been really rough for them.
Definitely. And for you as well. I say, I mean, you, even though you're a facilitator, you still have to take care of yourself, you know, so you have to, you put yourself in the line to help them do what they had to do. So, you know, people always think about nurses and first responders, but there's people like yourself as well who are kind of sort of in the periphery, but also in the heart of it all as well. So, you know, thank you for doing that.
Oh no, it was my absolute pleasure and an honor. Actually, it's a real honor to be invited to somebody's birth. You're at a place of honor there, so it's I mean, I loved every minute of it. You know,
Good.
It was great.
Awesome. So for any pregnant women watching today, what advice would you give them to sort of help them calm their pregnancy nerves as well as fears about COVID infection? Because we know, you know, I don't personally believe we're going back to what we had before and what was normal. I see this as a chance to reevaluate how we do everything and move forward. But people still have to deal with their own fears and anxiety. So what advice would you give to women expecting and couples expecting?
Well, I tend to take a pretty holistic view of everything. So when we talk about people managing fears in pregnancy and childbirth, I want to start looking at things like diet, you know, eating well, keeping hydrated, managing general kind of stress levels, and making sure that you have a good support team around you. So that's not only your care providers in the system, so midwives or consultants, but also in your partner, and your families, and your friends. Maybe hire a doula if you can stretch to that. But it really is taking a really holistic view. It's lots of factors involved in managing our fears, managing our health, you know, getting sleep, getting exercise. It's a real kind of like big view, and not just kind of a one or two factors there. So, you know, look after yourselves, be informed. That's a really big one. You know, sometimes I know that myself, when I had my first baby at the age of 21, you know, although I studied kind of biology and things, I didn't know what was going to happen. So be informed, you know, join courses, join forums where you can be with other families who are having babies and learn, you know, equip yourself with knowledge so you're not going in kind of blind. Really important.
Definitely. I think your point about stress is a good one. And, you know, I was on my own when I was expecting my first child, and that wasn't anything that, you know, we put in my life plan. But sometimes these things happen. And I think, you know, your stress levels going into the unknown, as you know, pregnancy and birth can be quite high. And I'm convinced that was a bit of a factor as to why I had an emergency C-section. You know, all of that panic and worry and fear. You know, and I do believe that how you are before you give birth really impacts on your birth and the weeks afterwards, because, I mean, I'm very interested in early years, and I think it kind of travels with you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really doesn't. You know, people assume that kind of birth starts in the vaginal canal, in the birth canal. Well, actually, birth starts here. You know, labor and birth starts here. So it's about how you can adopt a positive mindset during your pregnancy. shield yourself from all the kind of stories that you hear. You know how when you're pregnant, people love to share all the gory kind of birth stories with you for some reason. And it's not hiding yourself away from reality, but people want to tell you the worst of what's happened to them. You rarely hear of like positive birth stories. So shield yourself away from all the nonsense, all the negativity out there. Gather your people, gather your community, your village, and get support from them. And it's that helps to bring you through pregnancy and childbirth. And I know that a lot of people think that doulas are the kind of magic, the fairy that comes along to your birth, because we know that actually having a doula support you during your pregnancy and during your labor, research has shown that actually less C-sections, so lower C-section rates for doula-supported births, sometimes quicker births, more comfortable births. Parents report more satisfaction with their birth experience, better breastfeeding initiation rates, less postnatal depression. There's a whole kind of like raft of benefits of having a doula on board, but we're not a magic kind of like spell that's going to come along and say, yeah, you're going to have a great birth. It really is about you doing some preparation, working with a doula or a trusted person, getting that knowledge on board, and really feeling quite positive about your upcoming birth experience. Managing the fears, not banishing them, because it's very hard to banish fears, but managing the fears.
That's a great way to describe it. So my next question was going to be, for those that don't know, can you explain exactly what a doula is or does?
Yeah, absolutely, because there's lots of misconceptions about doulas. So people assume that we are midwives, ex-midwives or practicing midwives. And whilst you do have some doulas who are midwives or have been midwives or who go on to become midwives, actually we are the wise women in the village. So back in the day, before midwifery was around, before universities, and we were the woman in the village where if you're pregnant and in labour, you would send somebody to go fetch the woman, the wise woman, to come round and to tend to you during your labour. So we're a bit like that. It's nothing new. Doulas aren't new. We've been around for a long time. But so what I do is I don't do any kind of clinical tasks. I'm not a clinician. I don't do any testing or any examining of the woman. I'm really there for more practical and emotional support. So once I'm booked, and I'm normally booked fairly on in the pregnancy, I make a relationship with the person giving birth and a partner if there's a partner around. And we have this kind of trusted relationship. So they can then kind of unburden themselves. They can, rely on me to be a listening ear, non-judgmental, a shoulder to kind of lean on. But I also provide antenatal sessions for them as well. So just like they might go to a hospital and have antenatal education from midwives, I do that with a couple in their homes, one-to-one. So kind of private antenatal calls with them, and they can ask all of the questions and feel open just to, kind of talk about how they're feeling. I then go on call at about 38 weeks. So that means going on call means that I have my phone switched on and charged up night and day. So it means that actually I can't go away. I can't take a holiday during that time. I generally can't pop to London to kind of see relatives or attend a party or a christening or a wedding or a funeral. I've got to stay pretty close to home just in case during that, the next few weeks, they call up and say, yeah, this is it, I'm in labour. So you put your life on hold whilst you're on call. And then when the call comes, generally at night time, because these babies tend to start coming at like 3 in the morning, not at a reasonable hour. So I'm up and out and in the car pretty quickly, meeting them at home and labouring with them. If they're having a hospital birth, I meet them at home anyway. So there's kind of early stage of labour with them, use my massage techniques. I'm also a hypnobirthing teacher, so I teach them how to relax very deeply for childbirth. And then if it's a hospital birth, I go off with them together in the same car, and we go to hospital, and I support the birth. If it's a home birth, and again, I'm still there. We ring the midwives at a certain time because I'm not there to be there. So no one delivers babies. Actually, we talk about people delivering babies. The person giving births their baby. Deliveries are for like pizza and for post. Yeah, the person giving birth is the person who will kind of birth their baby. So if it's a home birth, at a certain time, I call the midwife, say, yeah, I think we're kind of getting quite close, and they come and they do their job. I'll do my job, and we work side by side, but as part of a team, a birth team. So we're there for that person, for the couple, but we work as a team. And then I'll come back after a few days and check how things are going, check how feeding's going, make any kind of signposting, referrals if they need extra support. But I'm also a postnatal doula. So for those who want a bit more of Lorna after they've had their baby, I will come to the house for several hours a day, and I will look after mom so that she can look after her baby. And that might be things like making dinner, sometimes using massage techniques, or I'll sometimes be on my couch and give her a good old rub down, those kind of aching joints after childbirth. But most of all, I'm again a listening ear. So any concerns, any feelings of, oh, I'm getting kind of blues or feeling down, then I'm a listening ear. And again, no judgment, just there to listen. And if needs be, say, well, maybe you want to speak to so-and-so or so-and-so. But it's honestly just that reassurance and that listening ear, and not having the kind of, advice. So I'm not there to give advice. I'm there just to kind of gently journey alongside, and as they blossom into their kind of wonderful parenthood. That's what's needed. That's what's needed, and it's great.
Oh, where were you when I was having my children?
Everyone says that.
Oh my goodness me! I mean, what you do is literally, I think every woman should have a doula. I mean, it should be just prescribed on the NHS. It's just there because But it's funny you say that you sort of like the wise woman in the village. And my dad says to me, he grew up in Jamaica, and he said to me that my great grandmother was a wise woman who used to help people having babies. And I don't think he said even heard of the word doula, but he said to me she was the one that they would call. He said she never had any medical training, never had anything like official. He said, but that's what your great grandmother used to do. And I said, these chats you have with your elders, and I never knew that. And now you're telling me this. So when did you realise that was your calling? I mean, it's quite a specific thing, isn't it?
It is very specific, and yes, it is a calling. It's not your normal kind of 9-to-5 job. This is really hard work, really hard work. And actually, so I've always worked with children and families. I was a nursery nurse. I trained back in the late 80s as a nursery nurse, and I've worked with children and families for the last 30 odd years, starting off in nurseries, then family centres, and most recently as a Sure Start program deputy manager. And as part of my role, I was also the health coordinator, which meant I would coordinate all the family health activities for the Sure Start program. One of those activities was baby massage. I actually trained to become a baby massage teacher. And so I'd run these baby massage courses for local parents and their newborn baby, the young babies. And they'd come along, and I've noticed that week after week, they wanted to discuss their birth experiences and their birth stories. And even though at that stage I had two kind of teenage kids myself, I never really realized or understood how important people's birth experiences were to them, and how we never forget our birth experience, or how other people made us feel during our pregnancies and births. So I'd come back and I'd be very keen to start the session, like all this chatter about their births. I'm thinking, come on, shut up, I want to start the session. And it's like, oh, right, this is like, wow, this is really important stuff here. So I learned about doulas back then. That was in 2004-5. And I was actually asked to start a doula, a kind of volunteer doula project in the area that I worked in. I wasn't too sure that was going to work, so I shelved the idea. And it wasn't until like years later when that kind of seed started to germinate a little bit. You know how it does? Yeah.
As it always does.
It always does. It's like, oh yeah, that whole doula thing. And I met doulas, I met some doulas, and I thought, yeah, maybe I could do that, because I realized how maybe I could make a difference or have an impact on somebody's birth experience, and how actually that's not just a here and now impact. That's like got for years and years and years.
Life, yeah, whole life.
And I thought, I'm going to train. So I trained in 2012 and shelved it for a while, just kind of did the training and then just kind of like put it to one side. And then it was like, okay, I'm ready to kind of launch myself on the world of birth. Wow. And I launched myself, and do you know what? I haven't looked back.
I haven't looked back.
Very busy, yeah.
Wow. And it's not surprising, because I think when you're pregnant or expecting, you're very open and very vulnerable, and you can kind of see people, and you can see who, as you say, is working in the heart space, and you just know that you need that person. I need that person, and I think it's fantastic. On a more sobering note, though, we have had that report that came out in 2020 that Black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women, and the NHS has no target to address this. And you see, it's funny, you talked about this birth experience being like influencing your whole life, and I can really relate to that, because when I had my C-section, my emergency C-section, and all the things that came with it, you know, I was in hospital for a week and you were supposed to be in and out in a couple of days, and it was everything that ticked all the trauma boxes. I didn't have my next child until nearly 11 years later, because I just thought, no. And it's one of those things that I realized there were so many things that were potentially life-threatening that had happened, and I just blocked all that away, put it all away in a box, not thought about it. And I saw that report, and I know that many other people, you know, older mothers, have had a similar reaction. That, my goodness me, it's still happening. And I thought my situation was a one-off. You know, I had to have an emergency blood transfusion, you name it, and it is one of those horror stories. And just to reassure anyone listening, it is unusual, but what concerns me is it's more common for Black women, and that's the thing I wanted to ask you about. So tell me your response to that.
Yeah, well, this is what really spurred me on to start my new venture, Black Mama's Birth Village, where I'm literally now, I've stopped attending births. My last birth was last month in August, and I'm now supporting online Black pregnant women and Black mothers of young, like newborn babies. So yes, okay, what happens in the system, Susie, or what I have seen myself with my own eyes and experience with my Black clients, bearing in mind that most of my doula clients were Black and brown women, is that we're just not listened to. You know, we raised concerns about our health and, you know, health of our unborn babies, you know, unexplained pains and maybe some bleeding. And we're fobbed off and we're dismissed. There's this idea that maybe we complain too much. We feel pain differently. You know, we're very much othered in the system and we're not listened to, and it's dangerous. And so even though we know that unfortunately in childbirth there can be loss of moms and loss of babies, we have, you know, these figures of Black women being, they're telling us now it's 4 times more that things are improving. I don't know how that was worked out, but I'm doubtful. So 5 times more likely to die in the perinatal period, the time around birth. And it really is, and most of it is, in my mind, about not being listened to. There's factors around, you know, so we all are kind of subject to this system of racism. So in housing, in our employment, in education, in health. And so when we are subject to poor treatment, to unequal treatment, to microaggressions on a daily basis. All of these things do affect our health. I know when I've been with a black or a brown client in hospital, and I've had midwives make certain comments, for example, I know that I'm sure my blood pressure rises, spikes. So I get that, that kind of gut feeling, that almost like a punch to the gut.
Yes.
Well, imagine having that during labour.
Yes.
We know that for labour to unfold smoothly, we've got to be calm, we've got to manage the fears, we've got to kind of manage stress levels. And when we are subject to the comments, like, for example, a consultant coming in, you've got now this woman in labour, husband's beside her, it's a brown couple, consultant comes in, a white consultant comes in, and he says to the midwife, "Can she speak English?" Now, both the woman there, who's in a very vulnerable position physically, and her husband are like, ugh. It's like a kick to the gut.
I know, you can feel it. You can feel it right here.
Yeah. So when you're subject to that, plus what I see again is not given all the choices. So there's lots of choices you can make in the system, but it seems that for black and for brown bodies, that we are not given the full menu of choices. They don't facilitate things as easily for us as they do for white couples and for white people birthing. And so when you have all of that in the mix, it's honestly, it's gut-wrenching.
It is. It is. And I think that your Black Mama's Birth Village sounds like a wonderful, wonderful place to find refuge. Definitely. I could talk to you all day long, Lorna. I know that Sandra's got a few questions for you as well before we bring Garfield back. So
Sure.
It's been a delight and a joy, and I'm sure we'll have lots more conversations in the future. So thank you for your time, and I'll pass you on to Sandra.
Lorna, thanks for sharing. And I was well looked after when I had my two children. However, I did hemorrhage on my first child, which gave me a bad experience in terms of my own childbirth. But the care I got was 100%. So for me, it was, so I can be honest with you. But are there any birth stories that you regard as particularly special that you were part of, even if not a name that you're going to share, but something that you can tell us that was really sort of like happy for you? You know what I mean? A happy moment?
Gosh, so many. So I just want to kind of say that actually, yes, there is the 5 times more stats, but actually, there's also the kind of joyful birth stories, and I don't want people to get too hooked up on the kind of downside of things. So yes, there are so many. Trying to think of one. Okay, so here's the one that comes to mind straight away, is the wonderful couple living in Nottingham. I live in Birmingham, a good hour and 10 minutes away. I don't normally travel that far, to be honest, but I was at her first home birth, and then she invited me back for her second home birth. And they were being a bit funny about her birthing at home, and that can happen with black women, we don't think you should birth at home. Anyway, she was very determined to birth at home, and on the day that, or the wee hours that she went into labour, she called me up, and she calls me Mama, I think it's time. So in the car I get down the M6, wherever it is, down to Nottingham. And she had quite a speedy but beautiful delivery. So call the midwives, time to come now, I think she's near. They're like, no, sorry, we can't spare the staff, you're going to have to come in. And she was very determined that no, she's not going to come in. And you know what? She gave birth at home with me, her other children, her husband. And her husband, I got her husband to catch the babies. She was on her hands and knees. I said, come here, you're going to catch this baby. And I filmed it for them. Oh. And he stood behind and he caught this slippery bar of soap type baby.
That's a beautiful story. Unfortunately, I wasn't very good like that. I was a gas and air lady who I needed to give gas and air. It is what it is. I said to the midwife, give me gas and air. I need it now, on both occasions, and pethidine. So guys, I'm a pethidine girl, okay? And that helped. But look, Harry, in a nutshell, because we're going to bring Garfield back on, what is Black Mama's Birth Village? Tell us very quickly. You've got about 2 minutes to tell us all about that.
Right, quickly, it's a safe space for black women who are pregnant or mothers of newborn babies. And basically, it's just an online, we're a Facebook group. We are 92 of us in the group so far,
Wow.
all over the UK. And it really is just a place where you can just come, sit, breathe, talk birth. I share resources. On a Sunday evening, we have a live session when we just chat about our week or any appointments they've been to. I can signpost them to other information. But it really is just a kind of a sisterhood, a community where we can talk without feeling shame, without being judged, and without having to answer questions like, what is a naming ceremony? That's what it is.
We all need you in our lives, and I would have done well with you. You know, as support, I had my husband, but I would have done really well with you. There were times I was like pulling my hair out, but it's great listening to you. So thank you very much for taking the time. But we're going to bring on Garfield, and we can still catch up more. So can we bring on Garfield? Thank you, Lorna. You are great, absolutely great. Let's bring back Garfield and let's all have a chat.
Yeah.
You're still there, Garfield?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Look, I've got one quick question, and we know that we're going to talk about this business advisor. What do you actually do in terms of your business advice? And even with Lorna here, it's a mixed bag.
Okay. All right. So I listened to Lorna when she did the training, but she had kind of shelved it and she didn't do it right away. So at the moment, I still work at The Voice, still do my books. I haven't gone to set up shop as a business advisor, but what I find is that sometimes I'm speaking to clients who are, well, not clients yet, but people interested in advertising, right? And, you know, I ask them certain questions, right? Because even though they want to advertise, I still have a bit of fear, right? Because to be honest, the business maybe could not be ready for this amount of attention. And if it all goes pear shape or belly up, whichever one is the correct one, they're going to say, you know, I did something with The Voice and it was rubbish. It never worked at all. But when we start to drill down and pick apart your business, you realize this wasn't that was that was good, but that was so. It's all them kind of experiences. Why it was actually in 2019. Yeah, I got trained up, but it's literally something I've been doing all along. I mean, if I go to an event and I set up my stall, I'll walk around and chat to the other businesses and, you know, see what I can share, see who you know, maybe somebody that needs. Some people are out there and they know what they're doing, but there's always some people who kind of need a bit of maybe hand holding or just to kind of reposition their effort, you know. So that's what I really do.
That makes sense.
So,
and
yeah.
Look, I'm not sure whether Lorna's advertising in The Voice, but I think she needs to go in there. But I don't remember seeing her in there. Lorna, you two need to hook up anyway, because it's so important for women right now. But look, I've got one other question for you both. If you had a career choice and you were not, what would you do if you were not doing what you were doing now? Lorna, one answer. You're not allowed to say why, but what would you do as an alternative?
I would be a psychologist.
Gosh, that's a big one. And it's almost similar to what you're actually doing a little bit now.
Anyway, you already are actually.
Yes, because God knows I've seen the psychological issues when we're pregnant and giving birth. So hey, you're doing it already.
Doing it.
What about you? What would you have done if you were not doing what you're doing now? One word answer. You can't say.
Oh Lord, real estate.
Oh,
still selling. You see, it's never going to change. Still selling. Look, very quickly, because we are coming to an end, but we ask that you stay. We will bring you back, that you don't leave, that you stay on at the end of the show. It was just to say that I want to thank you first of all for both coming along, because it's been great. We'll have to bring you back again so that we can talk for longer, because it wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
We want to mention that we're coming back again. Don't forget, guys, in November. November the 28th. There will not be a show in October, but obviously we've got Black History Month, so we'll make sure we'll be doing, showing lots of things on our Ultravision Instagram site, Facebook, and on YouTube. And obviously, if anyone wants to, get in contact with Ultravision, you know where we are. But Susie, did you have a final word?
I'd just like to say, it's been another great show, and we're kind of knee deep into our Ultravision Women's LIK, and it's just been a blast so far, and it's only down to the quality of the guests we get. And I think today has been really interesting and great to talk to both of you. So thank you both so much for your time, and feel free to share this the video widely, because we just want to hear more of people like you. There's so much that we have to learn about each other and all the different things that we're doing in life. So it's just been an honour as usual to be involved.
Thank you very much. I echo that. You've been great. Lorna, we need a show of your own. Garfield, you need a show of your own. We need to talk, because we need a whole show where we're talking about pregnancy and childbirth, and a whole show where we're talking about books. Thanks to our audience as well. Please stay safe. Get your petrol when you need it. If you can share the petrol with everybody else, we would appreciate it, because we all need petrol. We all need diesel. So guys, be kind if we can. Yes. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch us and to listen. Thank you. We'll see you in November.
Thank you all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Okay.
See you.
Thank you.